Hey there, and welcome back. I'm Dr. Vince Leone, executive producer and co-host of the Practice Builders podcast. With my partner in crime, Dr. Kyle Pankonin, we deliver proven strategies to help you grow fast, specialize with confidence, and build profitable staff-run practices. Let's go ahead and dive into today's episode now. Hello, and welcome everybody to the Practice Builders podcast. My name is Dr. Vince Leone.
And I'm Dr. Kyle Pankonin. Today's a special podcast. We have a special guest that I think you're going to learn a lot from, you're going to be inspired by, and you're going to come away with some great tips for growing your clinic. This is a high-performing doctor, and this is, if you're looking to grow your practice, these are the types of doctors that you want to follow and listen to. So, Dr. Leone, introduce our special guest.
Yeah, this is Dr. Doug DeSalvo in Northern California. Dr. DeSalvo, how are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Leone. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, our pleasure. And so the title of this podcast is The Anatomy of a Seven-Figure Practice, an interview with Dr. DeSalvo. So, Dr. DeSalvo is located in Northern California. And why don't we just start off kind of your origin story, walk us through your journey. How did you go from more of a traditional chiropractic practice into your seven-figure operation where you added decompression and neuropathy?
Well, I've been in practice for 38 years now, and, started off with my basic tool bag, which was in just my hands. And I've always dabbled with the, modalities. And I actually discovered decompression back in 2000. And was active with it for about 5-6 years. And then I had to move my practice. And when I moved my practice, I ended up, getting away from decompression for a little while, but then brought it back on. And when I brought it back on in to 2023, we doubled our practice.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah. And it took about a year to nearly double. And that was with 2 tables.
You doubled in 1 year?
With 2 tables.
Wow. So you originally started with it in 2000. You got away from it. What made you or what inspired you to bring it back into the practice in 2023?
Well, I'm 64 now. So,
looking great, by the way.
Thank you. And the questions that I really had to ask myself was, okay, do you want to take on more equipment, take on more of a risk? And, I wasn't sure what the market would bear, how many patients we were able to attract to us. So, I took a risk, and at least I thought it was a risk. Now it's not a risk at all. And it worked. So once we got our staff trained up and put the policies and procedures in place, and we continued to train the staff, we just get better and better with it.
Yeah, and most chiropractors get stuck wearing every hat, right? They're the head cook, they're the waiter, they're the busboy, down the line. What were the first systems or roles that you put in place that allowed you, to kind of free up your time to focus on growth?
Well, I have 4 CAs now, and my front desk is actually trained to do an initial intake. So when I walk in and do my exam, we've got our online intake plus her intake, and then I don't need to spend 15-20 minutes doing a consultation. So my consultation at that point becomes maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And then I go into my examination, and the type of examination that I do mirrors what Dr. Pankonin teaches. And so we get more of a wow factor from the patient because they understand that we're more thorough. And then I take x-rays mostly on every patient. So we can do some show and tell there. So that's a really good thorough intake and exam process. And I usually treat patients on day one. Most patients come in, they're expecting to get something. So even if it's just some electrical stimulation to buy me some time to figure things out. If a patient does have a disc pathology, I'll be prescribing an MRI. We did contract with a facility about 30 minutes away to do a MRI on a cash basis for $550. So if doctors don't have that kind of relationship with an MRI facility, they should get that relationship established, because most MRI facilities will do that. There's so many MRI facilities for now, or now, that they're all kind of fighting for scraps. So they'll do a cash basis for patients. And if I'm trying to get back to your question, what procedures I put in place. So getting back to that question.
Yeah.
We train now almost every week. And our office is pretty full patient-wise, so it's hard to find the time to train. But I train based on the procedures that I need them to help me get into place, which is the modalities. So when I order up a treatment plan, we're ordering up the modalities for the first 12 visits, second 12 visits, and we get that on paper so they know what my plan is. And they know how to carry out that plan even if I'm not here. So it's not just me telling them each time. So we have to have things set in advance. Most importantly, though, you have to have good handouts to give to your patients so they understand what you're going to do. So one of the things I used AI or ChatGPT for was to recreate a good but basic educational program relative to what decompression is, what each modality does. And another good thing that we found that took off for us was how to take a patient from active care and transition them to maintenance care. And maintenance care for a decompression patient might be just chiropractic and decompression, or it may be a booster treatment. So we have patients that get done with decompression, they're doing quite well. I don't see a need to keep them on decompression. So they'll opt in for maintenance chiropractic. And I say, you may need a decompression booster treatment down the road. So one thing, Dr. Pankonin, didn't you teach at the seminar that, a patient told me this recently, that they have a connection with a medical facility. And when patients go in for, medical surgical procedures for backs, most of the time they're busy, but half of them are repeats. Okay, so what are booster sessions? It's a repeat, but it's non-surgical. So I have a handout to give to a patient that describes what booster treatments are, which is a short course of decompression treatments, say 6, and they might need that once a year. So we transition from active care to maintenance care. My staff knows all those policies and procedures. We have all those handouts on the wall, and I can just call out to my staff member, can you give my patient a booster handout after we had that discussion, or decompression and maintenance.
I think a couple nuggets in there, Dr. Kyle. I don't know about you, but one, having the relationship with the MRI facility is huge. So in our neck of the woods, it was CDI. I think they're called Reyes now. But point being, these are just, quote unquote, small businesses. They want more business. And so you can reach right out to the owner or the manager and introduce yourself and say, hey, we do quite a few disc treatments. We need MRIs, and what we did was we need a concierge service. So we actually had their form at the office that we would fill out and pick up the phone, schedule them for either that day or the next day. And it was a cash service. I think ours was $350, but this was back a ways. But the point being is, it was a smooth setup and transition over to the MRI facility, and then get them right back ASAP. So I think that's a little pearl there, that if you're not doing that, that's something that's very easy to implement, and will serve your patients at a high level. And the education component. I mean, nothing I think cuts through the noise like education, and ChatGPT's, really great for that, to at least give you the framework that you can then, kind of tweak and model. But the point with getting those handouts to the patients on a regular basis for, all those kind of different stages in their patient journey. What about you, Dr. Kyle? What'd you get from that?
You can never educate too much, and I love the fact of the forms, and you have those different stages, and what a brilliant strategy to try to encourage maintenance as much as possible, because let's face it, these decompression cases, not all, but the majority of them do need some kind of maintenance, because most of these are chronics, and they have degenerated disc, bulge disc, herniated discs, and given enough time, they're going to need help again, or they need to stay on top of it. I had one question for you, Dr. DeSalvo. Yeah, you kind of used a phrase a while back as we were talking. You said, I took a risk. And I really like that. I actually wrote that down. A lot of the doctors that listen to this podcast are thinking, I want to grow. But sometimes you got to be willing to stick your neck out a little bit and take a risk and invest in equipment, or invest in yourself, or invest in staff. Can you just expound upon that a little bit more? Maybe a time or two or three in your career where you took a risk, but it really paid off.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, when you're about to take a risk, you need to study it and make sure that it's aligned with what you want to do. You should never feel like you have to push it or force things. If you ever feel like you're forcing something just because someone's selling you something, you shouldn't do it. It's got to align with what your purpose is, what your mission is. And most of us want to be able to help as many people as we possibly can, but there are some procedures that just don't fit with, a person's practice. I would consider this practice a moderate volume practice. We're not low volume, we're not high volume, we're in the middle, and it's what works for me. And at present, we're maxed out with just me and a part-time associate, so I need another associate soon. But getting back to taking a risk, it comes down to the numbers too. If you're going to buy a couple of decompression tables, then you need to run the numbers and figure out how many people you need to get to make it worth your while and grow from there. And then it also comes down to the marketing. Will the marketing bring those new patients in? And what's the cost of your marketing? Most of the marketing really should be done internally, like you said, with education. So I use handouts, but I also use an online program. 3D Practice is a great online program to show patients. They love to see the visuals digitally, and you can take snippets or videos and send those to patients. And it allows you to be efficient in your practice to demonstrate what's going on. So we have all the models, and when patients see that you have models and digital presentation and videos to show to educate them, then that takes the element of risk away, because the question is, what's going to get that patient to a yes? And it all starts with day one, creating rapport and trust. So the risk is lessened if you know how to communicate with your patient to get them to, agree to care that, you can ethically provide and feel good about what you're doing, right?
Yeah, we all got to be able to sleep at night. And I think a couple of things I took from that, it's really interesting, is I always say, like, the close starts in the consult, and a lot of doctors are looking for like a silver bullet in the ROF, and in reality, it's really at first point of contact, because that's when you're going to start to develop trust, rapport, position yourself as an expert, so that they can trust you. And so I think that makes a big difference. And then another thing you mentioned, like internal marketing, I feel like a lot of doctors, especially with decompression, they're just trying to rely all on external marketing to grow their decompression practice. But you have these patients in your past patient base and your new patient flow, and patients under care. So it's, using those kind of education methods you're talking about to stimulate new patients, that already, have a relationship with the clinic, the know, like, and trust factor. So
can I interrupt you right there?
Yeah.
Your ROF is pretty much the way I do it. And the nugget I got from your ROF is the four horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one other piece I added to mine. But the ROF does not need to be complicated.
No.
It should take 5 or 10 minutes. And it's all about, this is what I found. This is what is consistent with your condition. This is how we can help. This is the process, etc. Right? And it takes all the pressure off of you if you set it up right, by building rapport, by getting their trust day one. And if you don't do that on day one, then it is harder.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very good point. Did you want to say something there, Dr. Kyle?
No, I just think that he's hitting so many vital points here. I guess what I'm interested in is how he's built his team around him to help him with these things. I mean, when you're running a big practice, moderately high volume, 7-figure practice, you got to have buy-in from your team, Dr. DeSalvo. How did you build out that team and get them behind this and sharing your vision for growth?
I love that question. My office manager has been with me for 8 years now. And she's great. I call her my steady Eddie. She runs just very even keeled. And so she and I work really well together because she understands my goals, my mission, and how I work. And then she and I have worked together on interviewing the right people. And she actually took the load off of me, and she said, look, I'll manage the ad. I'll help you set up the interview. She just has to get them in there so I can meet them, go through the interview process, and then she interviews them. And that's how we work with choosing right. We've made some mistakes. We all do. And then we laugh at it, when we see some of the silly stuff we've had to deal with. But when you choose right, and you work with your employees to help them communicate, and it's ongoing, and it's just always ongoing, then you can, win. You can get ahead with it. The most important thing that we teach them is phone skills. How to answer the phone and how to field questions, and if they're not comfortable, then it goes to my office manager. I feel fortunate at this point to have 4 CAs. There are bigger offices that have more than that, but to have an office manager that manages the other people, so I don't have to worry about the micromanaging. And that's one of the things I've had to talk about with my staff is I can't be micromanaging. And this is the information you need to learn. These are the steps. And, this is where we expect you to be in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. After about 6 months or so, they're getting more comfortable. At a year, they're much more comfortable. At 2 years, they're super comfortable. So it also has to do with paying them fairly.
Yeah.
And they'll stay. So I pay at a higher wage, and I give them health insurance for those that need health insurance, and I pay 70% of that.
I love that, because no one's going to build a big practice without a great team, because then everything relies on you, right? If you don't have a strong team, you could have a big team, but if it's not a strong team, then just like, Dr. DeSalvo was saying, you're going to be micromanaging and having to kind of like clean up after them all the time. And I think that's why training is so important. And I'm impressed that you're training weekly, because most doctors don't train at all. But the phone, I always talk about the phone, like this is your lifeline. This is like your connection to the outside world. And when someone calls your office, your front desk that you're probably paying $15 an hour is a representative of you. And I'm talking to the doctors out there. So wow. What's that? No, not you. Most doctors are paying, as little as possible for that front desk. And I'm like, this is like your ambassador. Like, I think you should look at this individual as one of the most important parts of the practice, because, not only are they going to represent you on the phone and they need to be able to answer questions confidently and succinctly, but they also got to be able to get them to schedule and show, right? That's how we grow the practice. So that's a huge role. And anyway, it sounds like you put a lot of effort into that. In terms of like kind of your leadership and how it's evolved over time, like how would you say your, you as a leader and, the business owner has evolved as the business has grown?
Hey there, it's Dr. Vince. And if you're getting value from this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you know another doc who's ready to grow their practice, share this with them. It might be exactly what they need right now. Thank you in advance. And now back to the show.
Well, I kind of go by decades now. The first decade, I was probably very mediocre as a leader. You come out of college and you open up a practice, hang your shingle, and next thing you know, you're responsible for hiring people and managing them. They don't give you the skill set for that. So I learned by trial and error, and I know that there were times I didn't choose very right. Second decade, I got better. And so now that I'm in my fourth decade, I feel I am better. And they also see that at this point in life, how much work I put into it. And I think that naturally brings us certain level of respect, as compared to when I first got out of school. I was very young, and so there's something to say about age and wisdom, that they, I think, appreciate. Did that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely.
As far as I could study leadership books or read more leadership books, but I also feel like if they resonate with my authenticity and we try and have fun around the office rather than be too serious, then that gets their trust. The most important thing is having their trust, and they see that you treat people fairly. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. The part you said about, that you work hard, we can talk all we want, and we do need to teach, but nothing takes the place of action and being the role model. I know when some of my team sees me send emails at 4 a.m, they're probably like, what the heck is this guy doing? But it's like, hey, I'm working harder than you. Trust me. Obviously it's my business. But you have to, you don't always have to do that. You don't always have to be necessarily maybe the hardest worker, but they certainly have to see that you are committed to, to the growth of the practice, to your patients, serving at the highest level. So I think that resonated with me, but I don't know. You raised your hand, Dr. Kyle.
Well, another thing, getting results. I mean, as long as they feel like they're seeing how we're getting results with what we do and what you teach, they like being part of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Work ethic is huge. I think when you lead by example and you work your butt off day after day, that reflects on your staff then is going to work harder too, because you're setting the tone. And another thing I've seen over the years in practice is doing little things that they won't necessarily don't expect you as a doctor to do. Not that I do them regularly, but sometimes, you know what? You go back into the break room and by golly, the water cooler needs a new jug put on it. And so I haul the water back there, or the sink in the break room needs to be washed up a little bit, and you're in there and you got 1 minute between patients. Like, okay, they catch you doing a little job like that just endears them or endears you to them, and that it makes it seem as if no job is you're above you, and you're basically saying, hey, I'm in the trenches with you. I can do any job. And that makes a big deal. The other thing I want to talk to you about, Dr. DeSalvo, though, is looking back on your career. We all make mistakes in our journey to success and growth. Well, there may be one or two things when you look back that I made some mistake in judgment or in what I was doing in practice or in business, but I pivoted and I learned from that mistake, and that was really pivotal point in your career that really you springboarded from?
Well, there's probably been a few. There was a time after about 8 years or so, I was embezzled.
Oof.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And trusting your employees too much can create a situation like that. Yeah.
Not fun.
Right. So you got to watch your numbers, and what she was doing was taking all the cash, and I was just trusting them too much with just give me the deposit every week and I'll go to the bank. And so I was a little slow to figure it out, but we figured it out. And so what I learned from that was, make sure you have good policies and procedures in place to avoid something like that. And put a mechanism in place where you can check it.
Yeah.
I feel your pain, Dr. DeSalvo. I had an employee years ago that embezzled from us, and it took us a while, but we, in a sense, caught her.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also a learning point in my history of practice too, is that yes, you need to pay attention to details. You need to trust, but not trust too much.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and I took that personally. I was, really hurt by that someone would do that.
Yeah.
And because I thought I was a good guy, a good employer, I was fair, but she just had a different agenda. So yeah, watch your back. But
Okay.
everybody in business says, "Welcome to the club."
Hey, Dr. DeSalvo, what is, just backtracking just a little ways, you use decompression, I know. Let the listeners know what other cash-based services or therapies that you're also incorporating into your practice that's helped you to really grow and thrive, apart from just an insurance model or focusing on as a lot of chiropractors do, big volume.
Right. Well, I think one of the most important things is you're choosing your patient right, and you also have a clear understanding with regard to what kind of care that they need. And in my practice, I teach my associate that you're going to have patients that come in that they only have a mild condition and they don't need a major plan. Because a lot of people will say everybody should be on a year-long plan, and it shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all. You need to have clear, authentic communication with patients relative to what you feel the patient actually has. Is it a mild and complicated back problem or neck problem, or do they have significant degeneration as a comorbidity, or do they have a major disc issue? Do they have neuropathy? What do they have? And then what can you do to add or create a plan for that? So it's important to have some tools. So our tools are decompression and laser. We have the MLS laser, and we also have the microlight laser. And we have shockwave therapy. I have the Stores shockwave therapy. There's so many other ones out there. So that shockwave is a big hit for, I think, any practice. Because it's a tool that you can use to help those stubborn cases, especially with myofasciitis, those trigger points, the fibrosis that you just can't get to with an adjustment. And they walk away from after one session and say, wow, that was great, then we also use percussion devices. And so I have the rapid release here that I use. I also use a bigger 6-inch percussion head, which helps with the bigger muscle groups. Mm-hmm. And so what other modalities do I have? Okay. Oh, electrical stim. I have Hakamed electrical stimulation units. If we are not clear on a patient relative to decompression, we can start them off with some simple traction. And I explain the differences. Mm-hmm. And that's also a good way to demonstrate to a patient, oh yeah, traction helps. You could be a really good candidate for decompression. Let's do a stress x-ray or get an MRI. So another way we get compliance is we use a device called neck care to measure range of motion on the neck. And so we set that's their baseline when they first come in, and then we use that as a retest. And most patients are really interested to see what that retest looks like. And one last thing that I've added is I have an electroencephalogram that I use for stress testing. So most of our patients that come in, they have subluxations because of trauma, thoughts, or toxins. And when we do the EEG, we're able to see how stressed out they are. 80% of our patients are coming in and they're either exhausted or over-aroused. And so incorporating the use of a vagus nerve tuner, what we recommend is the ResiMax, REZZI max.com. The ResiMax is an incredible vagus nerve tuner that helps your patient relax, just to bring them down from that stress state. And then you can give them some recommendations like meditation and listening to music frequencies and breathing exercises that complement their care. So when we do that EEG in the beginning, then we can do that at 6 months and a year. And we get better compliance that way relative to, especially to maintenance care.
I think what I'm hearing is that, very kind of custom and detailed plans, per patient in terms of what they need versus trying to kind of put them all pigeonholed into one, particular plan.
Yeah. I wish everybody would do the electroencephalogram because they would get a handle on how stress affects their life.
Yeah.
But we're so busy that just explaining that could be some extra work. So I'm picking and choosing those people that just outright come in and you could just see they're a hot mess. And we need to have that talk about stress.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, and maybe a little advice, and you've given some gold nuggets. Hopefully doctors have taken some notes here. But if a doctor listening today, wants to get to that 7-figure mark in the next, 1 to 3 years, what's like the first move you think that they should make initially?
If they don't have decompression, get it, and also get shockwave. But they need to have a solid framework for creating a plan and have some tools to work with: decompression, shockwave, laser. And then it's off to the races from there. And the people that come in just organically will be referring others if they can, get that individual's trust. And back to my staff, you want to hear from your patients that your staff is friendly. I get that all the time. Your staff is so friendly. That's what you want to hear. You don't want to have a dud at the front desk because that's going to kill your practice.
100%. How many times have you got rid of your front desk and then your patients come up to you like, I was waiting for you to do that.
If you needed to get rid of someone, or you needed to get rid of someone and you waited too long, you're going to hear it.
Yeah. 100%. Awesome. Well, fantastic interview. I think, really thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Any last words, Dr. DeSalvo or Dr. Pankonin?
Well, I would say if you're a client of specialized practice, follow their instructions. They know what they're doing.
Certainly appreciate that. And I totally agree. Look, if you have a traditional practice and you don't have decompression, you're really missing the boat. And then, laser and shockwave, that just becomes just another tool in your toolbox to help a lot of patients, and they can just be added to all your chiropractic plans. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Dr. Kyle, did you have something you wanted to add?
Dr. DeSalvo, for listeners, he's the prototypical example of what we do at specialized practice, where we help doctors to implement these cash-based services, these niches, and take your practice to a level that you didn't dream was possible. And we have the tools and the protocols and things that can assist with this. And Dr. DeSalvo is a great example of a doctor that's just been a great implementer He's got the systems and the staff and the tools in the toolbox to become super successful. And I would just encourage people, hey, here's a great example of a doc to follow. This is a doc you maybe want to give a call to and say, hey, doc, teach me some more.
Well, I don't know if Dr. DeSalvo wants a bunch of phone calls after this, but and he was already successful coming in. So just full disclosure, Dr. DeSalvo came to us already at a 7-figure practice, so was already very successful. We're just trying to help him kind of go to that next level and hopefully get to an exit plan where we can bring in another full-time associate so that we can kind of optimize his time and figure out how do we, get him to that kind of exit point, whether it's selling or retiring in practice or whatever it may be.
More retiring in practice, I think. Yeah, I'd be bored if I had nothing else to do.
Well, you're too good of a doctor. That's one thing I know about you, and I know you're very humble, but you're an excellent clinician, and that's certainly what we always promote is really getting to that expert level. Whether it's neuropathy or decompression, you can't just buy a table or a laser and expect to it to be a cash cow. You actually have to be the expert. So thank you so much, Dr. DeSalvo, for coming on and sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and we'll wrap that up. So for everyone listening, hope you took some notes. There was some gold nuggets in there that you can literally apply right away on Monday. Hope this served you. And so for Dr. DeSalvo and Dr. Pankonin, I'm Dr. Vince Leone. We'll see you on the next episode of the Practice Builders Podcast.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Dr. Vince again, and hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you're ready to grow your practice fast with high-value decompression patients, then the Decompression Accelerator could be a phenomenal option for you. This is our 90-day sprint to help you scale with proven systems, staff-driven protocols, and full marketing support, and it's all guaranteed. Spots are limited. Head to www.decompressionaccelerator.com to learn more.